First story. OP's entitled parents and her golden child brother always bully her and belittle her achievements. But now, she has a boyfriend who ate them alive after they bullied in front of him. Now they are having a meltdown because she didn't stand up for the family. So OP decided to cut ties with the family. I'm in a really tough spot and could use some perspective. I 28F have been dating my boyfriend, Alex 31M, for about a year now. He's been wonderful and supportive, especially through some difficult times. One of those difficult times involves my relationship with my older brother, Tom 33. Tom and I have always had a complicated relationship. Growing up, he was the golden child, and I often felt like the family doormat. He would tease me mercilessly, make fun of my interests, and generally treat me like I was beneath him. Our parents rarely intervened, often brushing it off as typical sibling behavior, or even enabling it by saying things like, "Boys will be boys," or, "He's just joking. Don't be so sensitive." This dynamic continued into adulthood. Tom still makes condescending comments, dismisses my achievements, and often expects me to drop everything to help him out, all without any gratitude or reciprocation. I've tried to talk to him about it before, but he just laughs it off or accuses me of overreacting. For context, I work at a museum in our city, a job I'm really passionate about but Tom often belittles. He thinks it's a waste of time and constantly tells me I could do something more useful with my life. Last weekend, Alex and I were at a family gathering. Tom was in rare form, belittling me in front of everyone about my job. I was trying to brush it off as usual, but Alex wasn't having it. He stepped in and told Tom to stop treating me like a doormat and to start respecting me as an equal. Things escalated quickly. Tom got defensive, and the situation turned into a heated argument. Alex called Tom out on all the times he's treated me poorly and accused him of being a bully. Tom fired back, saying Alex didn't know what he was talking about and should mind his own business. Our parents tried to defuse the situation, but ended up taking Tom's side, saying Alex was overstepping and causing unnecessary drama. Now, Tom is furious with me. He says I should have stuck up for him and defended him against Alex. He claims that by not doing so, I've betrayed our family and humiliated him in front of everyone. My parents are also disappointed, feeling like I should have controlled the situation better. Alex feels bad that things got so heated but stands by his actions, saying someone needed to finally call Tom out on his behavior. I'm torn. On one hand, I appreciate Alex standing up for me, but on the other hand, I feel guilty for not defending my brother in that moment. Ada for not sticking up for my brother. Should I have done something to defuse this situation? Ada. I wanted to add that part of why I didn't defend Alex more strongly is because, whenever I did try to say something in his defense, my parents just bulldozed over me. Every time I tried to speak, they'd yell over me, which brought back all the feelings of clamming up like I did when I was younger. It made me freeze up and just stand there, especially since it seemed to only make Tom even angrier. I felt trapped, not knowing how to diffuse the tension as it got worse and worse. I'm working on it, but it's not easy, especially in situations like this. By the end of the entire thing, I was just standing there crying, and Alex took me to our car to go home. I've been fielding phone calls from my parents and brother since last weekend. I know I'm not responding to people, but I just posted this on a whim and just put it away. Ida too. Hi all, I just woke up to more comments. I'm just writing this edit to say I'm going to visit my Aunt Amy tonight to discuss what happened. She hosted the get-together and has always been someone I can turn to for help or advice when I need it. She and my uncle usually step in to diffuse these situations when they're around, but they were both in the kitchen when this happened. Aunt Amy understands the family dynamics better than anyone, so I'm hoping she can give me some clarity. Also, please stop deeming me and saying that Alex should leave me. Alex has been incredibly supportive, and we're handling this together. I appreciate everyone's concern, and I understand people not liking that I froze, but that's what happened. I love Alex, and he's been amazing for my self-confidence, but I still struggle with it around my parents and brother. OP is voted NTA. Update. 3 days later. Hi again, everyone. I wanted to write a quick update now that Sunday is over. I ended up talking to my Aunt Amy and Uncle Joe last night when I went over for dinner, as I mentioned. They have always been a safe haven for me, and it was really comforting to hear their perspective. Amy and Joe told me that my parents have always been wrong in how they treated me, and that the way they let Tom belittle me is not okay. They said that whenever they tried to stand up for me, my parents would not let them see me and Tom. One instance they brought up really hit home for me. I remember not getting to see Aunt Amy and Uncle Joe for a few months after my mom and Amy got into an argument. This happened after Tom ruined some of my favorite books, and Aunt Amy tried to defend me. She told my mom that it wasn't fair for Tom to face no consequences and that I deserved better. My mom got so furious at Amy's interference that she decided to cut off contact for a while. I think I was 7. I didn't fully understand why I suddenly couldn't visit them anymore. But I remember being upset and even more isolated. Joe explained that this is why they always tried to take me on outings whenever they could. It was their way of giving me a break from the environment at home. It just seemed to hit me all at once while we were talking. They're the ones who took me to the zoo, a movie, or just a walk in the park. All my happy memories as a kid were never with my parents. Honestly, they're who I think of when I think of what a parent should be. After our talk, I've decided to go without contact with my parents and Tom for the time being. I need to focus on what I want and what's good for me. My aunt and uncle also promised they'd run interference for me, so I don't have to deal with them. Also, Alex proposed to me yesterday morning. I honestly didn't expect it, but I'm so happy. We're going to be visiting his family over the long weekend to celebrate, and my aunt and uncle are going to go with us. I don't know what's going to come of cutting my parents and brother out, but I'm glad I'm doing it. This will be the only update I give on this on Reddit. Anything else will remain between myself and my family. Second story. After 12 years in NC, my drug addict mom reached out with her 2-year-old baby, ready to abandon her too, so I adopted my sister myself. Now she demands I give her my husband's money after seeing my sister's dress and toys, saying if I gave her the money at first, she would have raised the baby herself. So I revoked her visits and went NC. I 34F have a difficult relationship with my mother. She had me when she was 17 and was addicted to various substances when I was growing up. She'd leave me with whoever would watch me for days on end, and I'd end up mostly raising myself. I left home at 16 and couch surfed with various friends until I was able to get my own place. At 25, I met my now husband, and we got married 3 years later. His family is the polar opposite of mine and is incredible, so loving and warm that I honestly consider his parents mine and call them mom and dad. They also happen to be quite well off, but that isn't something I care about. I mention it because it matters to the story. Last year, my mother reached out to me after a decade of not speaking to her, wanting to reconnect and introduce me to my little sister, who was 2 years old. I was confused as I hadn't even known she'd been pregnant, but it seems she'd been a change of life baby. I thought maybe she'd turned over a new leaf, and if not, I wanted to make sure the kid was okay. At first, it seemed like things had changed, and she was trying. This illusion lasted for the first few visits over 6 months. Then she broke down, told me she couldn't do this, and asked me to take my sister. My husband and I had a long talk about it. We'd been struggling with fertility and had been considering adoption anyway. We told her if we were doing this, we were doing it right, and we had his family lawyer ensure it was a legal adoption and airtight, which took several months. My in-laws adore her and consider her their granddaughter. They've even set up a trust fund for her. We have allowed my mother one supervised visit per month, so she's not totally cut off from my sister. But during these visits, things went badly as she saw how she was dressed and the toys she had and realized they were expensive. She began to rip into us for hiding the fact we have money and how if we'd just given her money, she'd not have given us my sister, as she could have taken care of her better. I told her that while we have some money, it's mostly my husband's money and not ours, so she had no right to know about it. And I also told her that I wouldn't have given her money anyway as I didn't trust her. She broke down, calling me a selfish bee who'd never considered how hard things were for her. I now feel some guilt. My husband has told me if I want to make me feel better, he'll give her money. But that seems like a bad idea as she'd likely use it badly or blow through it, then expect more. Despite this, though I do feel bad, maybe I should have tried to help her more now that my luck is better. Or maybe I should have been honest with her. Ada for keeping this from her? Comments. Dependent aside 19750. NTA. If hubby wants to pay for something, it can be a treatment program for mom to get the help she needs. But you are definitely not the a-hole. Mom is trying to manipulate. OP. I tried many times to try to get her to get clean over the years before I cut off contact. She had no interest, and I don't think that has changed at all. If I thought that she'd even consider it, I'd have him do that if he truly wanted to spend money on her. Dependent aside 19750. Yeah, I'm not surprised. It will shut down her whining pretty quickly, though, if that's all you're willing to pay for. P. Cripper 73. Don't give her a penny. She'll come back for more. And you know she will deep down. OP. Yeah, I do. I want to help her despite how she was with me growing up. But I know that's not the right way to go about it. This has brought up a lot of old feelings I thought were long gone, like guilt. MRMAM 8100. Your mom doesn't want the money so she can take care of your sister. She just realized she lost her chance at a free meal ticket before she gave her up for adoption. Judgment. NTA. Update. 2 days later. I got some really good feedback from my post, and it led to my husband and I staying up most of the night discussing what we wanted to do, and a decision was reached. It wasn't an easy one, but we have a child to think of now, and she has to come first. We blocked my mother on every social media site. We changed our phone numbers, and we reached out to the family lawyer to get in contact with her to inform her that all visits had been stopped after she spoke to me in front of my sister. She has to get clean for at least a year with weekly tests if she wants to see my sister again. My mother can contact our family lawyer if she needs help with the tests, but beyond that, she gets no help from us unless she wants to go to rehab, which we will pay directly to the rehab, not her. My husband, sister, and I have also moved in with my in-laws for the time being, as my mother knows where we live. We will be looking for a new place, and my in-laws are aware of the situation, and that we are cutting all contact for now. Honestly, my in-laws are delighted to have us stay with them. When we arrived, the guest room my sister is using for now had an army of squishmallows on the bed. They are her current obsession, and my Phil makes sure to bring a new one each time he sees her. I always think she must have them all now, and each time I'm wrong. How he keeps track of what she has and doesn't have I don't know, as he never buys doubles. We are settling in well. We are even planning a small holiday with just my husband, sister, and me to get away from the stress we've been under. She's nowhere abroad as she doesn't have a passport yet, but we'll be fixing that soon as we want to take her to Lapland for Christmas. All in all, we're doing all right, though I admit I am feeling very conflicted and guilty over this. Even though I know it's the right choice, it just doesn't make it easy. Thank you all so much for your comments and advice on the original post. Comments. Efficient Tax 18398. Really uplifting update. Thank you. I wish you and your family well. Dugan 25. The husband's family sounds like amazing people. Zamaranda. Grandpa is my favorite. Not only getting her a squishmallow every time, but keeping track of what she already has. These men love that little girl. It makes my heart happy. Third story. Narcissistic husband slapped OP in front of his whole family, humiliating her after his sister had a bad allergic reaction to her food. So her Bill and Sil took OP's side and encouraged her to divorce her husband, but OP is scared of losing her kids. My husband 36, and I 30 have been married for 6 years. We have 2 kids, 4F and 2M. I'm a Psalm now. We didn't discuss this before marriage, but when I gave birth to our daughter, I just couldn't manage to work, taking care of our daughter, and doing all the house chores. There were times when I needed help at home, but I felt like I couldn't ask for help because I wasn't bringing in any money. It was also very difficult for me to be financially dependent on my husband. I never asked for anything for me, because he sometimes voiced how he felt a lot of pressure as the sole provider. Fast forward to 3 days ago. His younger sister lives in another country and comes to town once or twice a year. Last week, she told him she would visit. My husband and I invited the family for dinner. We were all having a good time when my sister started coughing and had trouble breathing. It was then that I knew she was horribly allergic to peanuts. I later knew that she had gone into anaphylactic shock a few times before. We all rushed to her side to help. I then got slapped on the face from behind, not so hard, but it did sting. I was facing away from my husband, so I didn't see it coming. I tried to explain that no one had told me before. I had only seen her a few times after the wedding and never cooked for her. He was yelling at me the whole time I was trying to explain myself. When I told him that he knew I would be doing all the cooking for tonight, why didn't he think of telling me about it? He pushed me down the couch and smacked me on the arms, back of my head. His family rushed to us and stopped him. They checked if I was okay for a minute, then went back to my sister's side. His older brother stayed by my side to ensure I was okay and to see if I needed anything. After a few minutes, my husband came back to the living room and acted like nothing had happened. My Bill asked him if he had told me about their sister's allergy before, and he didn't answer. I told him I never knew about it until now. My in-laws checked on me one more time and then excused themselves. Only his older brother stayed with us. He asked me if it was the first time my husband laid his hands on me. I couldn't answer with my husband sitting across from us. He suggested we take some time to process and think about what just happened. I left that night with my bill and took my kids with me. I'm still with him and his wife. My family lives in another country. Both my bill and his wife suggest I stay until my husband realizes what he really did. My husband did apologize, but said he panicked and was scared for his little sister. They are very close, and growing up, he was like a father to her. He kept repeating that if I cared enough about his family, I would have asked him if anyone had any allergies since I was the one cooking for the night, and he blamed me for his brother's reaction. I don't know where to go from here. I have no relatives here to stay with until I sort everything out. I only have one friend and can't stay with her. I grew up in a house where being grabbed by the face or arm was normal. But what happened that night was a little too much. I want my kids, and I don't want to lose them over my decision. My husband suggested couples therapy yesterday. I'm thinking about getting a divorce, or should I just let it slide and start therapy? I really have to think about it all because I know my family won't support my decision, and I will be on my own. Edit. My sister-in-law is okay. She's not angry with me for what happened. She even texted twice to check on me and the kids and apologized for not mentioning her allergy before his family. Has always been good to me. Relevant comments. Disillusioned cat. Well, definitely NTA. But this worries me. He asked me if it was the first time my husband laid his hands on me. I couldn't answer with my husband sitting across from us. So this wasn't the first time, was it? Please consider if you can ever feel safe with your husband before you think about couples therapy or anything else. I'm sorry this happened to you and wish you a lot of strength, OP. OP. It wasn't. But he never slapped me before. Thank you. Aggravating style 544. That means he is escalating. It will only get worse. He has isolated you from work and friends by making it impossible for you to leave the house. Are your bill and still able to help you find a safe way out? Good focus 2665. NTA. The fact that Bill is taking your side should tell you that you need to leave your husband. You will need to start preparing for single life. He was abusive before, putting so much pressure on you that you had to quit your job. He has slowly been escalating it, and now it's come to this. It's not going to get better. You need to be strategic if you want to leave. OP. I think I will just agree to couples therapy as a delay tactic until I get a job and try to plan my exit. I can't survive financially right now. Thank you. Tricks even. Never take abusers to therapy. They only get better at hiding it because therapy teaches them how. OP. I know, but I need time. Right now, I can't even support myself financially, let alone 2 kids. Update. I was hesitant about posting on Reddit at first, but I decided to give as many details as possible and put myself out there to get outside insight and to make sure if I'm to blame for what happened to my sil. Up until my post got a few comments, I was still sure it was somehow my fault, but I'm glad I posted about it here. Most of you suggested I stay with my brother-in-law. I couldn't bring myself to ask him for help if I could stay with them until I sorted everything out. Last night, he asked me if it's okay to talk about it now. I told him some things because I couldn't lay it all out. I told him that it wasn't the first time, and nothing was new to me that night except for the slap. I asked him if he could help me find a safe way out, because I'm scared to go back and need help looking up resources. Both he and his wife assured me that my kids and I are more than welcome to stay with them until I get back on my feet. They made it clear that they're willing to help us in any way possible. Bill said I have the right to decide what to do about it, and that he could even drive me to report my husband, if that's what I want. But just don't get him involved. I get it. I thanked them for everything and promised them to try to find a job as soon as possible. He also mentioned that my mill offered to pay 3 months' rent and childcare if I'm planning to leave. But he thinks it's better for me to stay with them for now and promised he will make sure my mill follows through once I find a job, because it will be more helpful than taking care of the kids and working. He told me to never feel like I owe them something, because I would have done the same for them. I met my husband through my bill when I worked with him for 6 months, and that he doesn't want my children to grow up wondering why no one loved them enough to step up and help their mother, or end up abused or abusers in the future. His words made me wonder. If he referred to his own brother as an abuser, then why am I still trying to look for ways to justify it or accept the blame? Although I'm not planning to get the police involved, my Bill's wife is helping me document everything. She took pictures of the marks the moment we made it to their house. She's also helping me get him to admit to everything that happened that night and before. At this moment, I have 2 texts and 1 recorded call along with other pictures I took before. I don't know why I ever took them because I never planned on doing anything, she said, Even if I'm not planning to press charges now, I could document everything just in case for later. And citing safety would be enough reason for my delay. As for my family, I called my parents this morning, and they weren't happy with what I told them. It's nothing I didn't expect. I knew they would not take a divorced daughter with 2 kids in. My cousin called me later and was so sad to hear about my situation and promised to send me some money to help. I'm not going to lie. I never asked for help before, but when she offered, I found myself ready to accept. I really want to make things work for my kids. I don't want to lose them. By the way, both my Bill and his wife are on top of letting me stay with them without any financial contribution. They do things. If I cook, my Bill or his wife do the dishes. They both work and share the chores. Yesterday, I only did the laundry and some cleaning around the house, and they insisted I do nothing for dinner. I'm glad to have some time to rest throughout the day. I can't shake the feeling that I should do more since I'm not paying for anything. I also want to mention that I'm planning to see a lawyer this week to understand my options and start the divorce process. I'm hoping this will help me take the right steps to ensure the safety and well-being of my kids. I'm also planning to start looking for a job this week, but I need to get my documents first. I'm beyond thankful for everything my in-laws are doing for me, but I'm still scared, and I don't know what I'm even scared of precisely now that I've decided I won't go back to him. But yesterday I couldn't close my eyes and get some sleep. Whenever I close them, I imagine my kids getting hurt. And if I'm being honest, I still feel like at some point I will mess everything up. But I hope I don't. Thank you for taking the time to read my post, and for all the advice you gave me. Edit. I'm sorry, I just realized I've been referring to him as my husband instead of soon to be an ex-husband. I'm still adjusting. Relevant comments. Ongoblin. Yeah, talk to a lawyer, because child support and alimony are meant for cases like this. I don't know why you are so afraid of losing your kids. It's not going to happen. He's responsible for you and the kids, even if you divorce until you get on your feet enough to be financially independent. This is assuming a country has decent marriage laws like most of the US has. Anyway, you seem fine with being abused, but think of your children and grow a spine for them. OP. I'm not. Maybe it took me 3 years to realize it, but I know better now and am trying my best to ensure my kids' safety and well-being. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.